Waitress stands up against Billionaire's harassment. Father's hidden helicopter offer revealed. Emily wiped her hands on her apron, the familiar scent of brewed coffee and sizzling bacon wrapping around her like an embrace. The diner was alive with chatter, the kind that made her heart swell with pride. Here, in this small-town sanctuary, she poured every ounce of herself into her work, each smile she offered to the patrons bringing a little warmth to her long days. At 24, being a single mother to Jake was a challenge, but she wouldn't trade a minute of it. All she wanted was a better future for him, and her dreams of culinary school simmered just below the surface, waiting for the perfect moment to bubble over. But then Ted Sinclair walked in. He wore a tailored suit that seemed to scream ambition and arrogance. As he sauntered through the cozy diner, heads turned not from admiration, but wariness. His eyes locked onto Emily's like a predator sizing up its prey. Her stomach twisted with unease. Why did he have to pick her favorite spot? "Ah, Emily," he drawled, his voice oozing charm laced with condescension. "Just the woman I wanted to see." The casual way he hovered over her workspace made her skin crawl. "You and I need to have a little chat regarding this charming place," as his slick words dripped with sarcasm. The laughter from nearby tables felt like remnants of a dream. She braced herself, forcing her trademark smile to mask the creeping fear. "I'm busy, Mr. Sinclair. Maybe you could— "Oh, I think you have time for this," he interrupted, leaning closer, his breath a faint reminder of expensive cologne. Emily could feel prying eyes from other tables, their concerned glances pulling her back from the edge of panic. In one corner of the diner, old Mrs. Clark met Emily's gaze, her eyes full of solidarity. The townsfolk rallied behind her, whispers of encouragement echoing throughout the room. They all admired Emily for her hard work and sacrifice, for the light she brought to their little community. And now, they were ready to stand with her against this encroaching storm. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But just when hope began to rise, a ghost from her past floated in. Her father, once a helicopter pilot and now a stranger, swept back into town like a whirlwind. His presence was unsettling, memories of unfulfilled promises echoing in her chest. And now he was offering help, connections that could save the diner. Feeling pulled in two directions, Emily stood at the intersection of past and present. The diner was more than the walls around her. It was her sanctuary, a place where she poured her dreams and fears equally every day. How could she turn her back on this? But Sinclair's smile was a wolf's grin, showing nothing but hunger. He wouldn't hesitate to push her out. The weight of his entitlement pressed hard against her chest. And it was time to take a stand right there, in front of everyone who believed in her. A fire ignited within, a rusty resolve turning into something powerful as Emily stepped outside, her heart pounding loud against her ribs. She stood in front of the diner, a sea of faces behind her, their support like a warm embrace. With a voice steady and fierce, she called out Sinclair, pulling the ripple of community spirit together. As they all drew closer, she realized no matter how rich or powerful, true value lay in the heart, and she would protect her family and her dreams, even if it meant facing giants. But just as strength surged through her veins, a chilling ultimatum hung in the air. Sinclair had more up his sleeve, and she felt the ground shift beneath her feet. The fight was only beginning, and the stakes were higher than she'd ever imagined. The diner was filled with a charged energy as Emily faced Ted Sinclair, the tension almost palpable. The community buzzed around her, every person standing in solidarity, their faces an encouragement she wasn't sure she deserved. She could feel their eyes filled with concern, fear, but more importantly, pride. It grounded her as she stared at Sinclair. "Mr. Sinclair," she began, her voice steadier than she felt. "You're not welcome here." He chuckled, an unsettling sound that seeped into the well-worn walls of the diner. "Oh, Emily, this is a public space. I'm free to sit wherever I like. Besides, don't you know? I can give you what you need." He took a small step closer, the faint scent of his expensive cologne mixing with the greasy air of the diner. The walls felt like they were closing in around her, but she forced herself to stand tall. "What's that supposed to mean?" she asked, trying to contain the churn of anxiety in her stomach. "A little financial boost, perhaps? I can help turn this place into something bigger, something more profitable." His smirk widened, revealing a hint of challenge. Emily felt a rush of anger surge through her. The thought of altering her beloved diner into a soulless enterprise twisted her stomach even further. "I don't want your money, Sinclair. I'm not interested in what you have to offer." The crowd behind her rose in solidarity, murmurs of approval rippling like waves. "But what if your father's offer is real?" Sinclair's voice was low, tantalizingly dripping with manipulation. "You know he has connections, he could save you. You know it." The mention of her father was like a slap. Old wounds twisted open in an instant, memories of promises unfulfilled and moments lost to neglect flooded her thoughts. Her chest tightened, a mixture of resentment and vulnerability swirling within. "He's not part of my life anymore," she stated firmly, hoping to suppress the doubt creeping in. "Yet here he is," Sinclair replied, gesturing diagonally with a flourish as he stepped back slightly, allowing her a view of the entrance. There stood her father, his posture uncertain as he looked into the diner. "Terry," a woman called from the back, and her voice echoed with surprise and confusion. Emily felt gravity pull at her feet. All eyes turned toward the newcomer. Jake scampered over to her father, excitement lighting his little face. "You're back," he shouted, innocence coloring the words. Emily's heart plummeted. This wasn't just about her anymore, it was about her son. "Ted," her father began, stepping forward, but Sinclair cut him off with a dismissive wave. "No need to explain yourself, just as long as you're here to offer her what she needs," he taunted, the gleam in his eye showing he thrived on this chaos. "Jake, sweetheart, why don't you go help Mrs. Clark with her order?" Emily said, forcing her words to remain calm. As Jake poked away, Emily felt the air thicken with tension. She turned back to Sinclair, ready to take a final stand. "You think you can take everything from me? This diner is my life. Is it?" Sinclair shot back, his voice carrying a sharp edge now. "Or is it just a stop on your road to nowhere? You could have it all, Emily. Just let go of the past." The weight of his words wrapped around her like a noose. She felt the room sway slightly, anxiety tugging at her. But behind her were the loudly beating hearts of everyone who believed in her, not just her dreams, but her reality. Her friends, her community, her son. Emily inhaled deeply and stepped forward. "My life doesn't hinge on money or what you have to offer. It's built by hard work and the people who stand with me. And I won't let you destroy that." The conversations around the diner had faded to silence, and for a split moment, she felt invincible. But Sinclair wasn't finished. "Very well, but what happens when the truth surfaces? Emily? The past is never really gone, just buried." Those words hung in the air like a heavy fog, casting doubt where she had so fiercely declared strength. The crowd's expressions shifted, uncertainty replacing their solidarity. Leaving Emily vulnerable and exposed once again. As her heart raced, she realized this confrontation wasn't just with Sinclair. It was the beginning of a deeper battle, one that would force her to confront more than just her relationship with him, but the ghosts from her past as well. And just as she felt her resolve starting to crack like an eggshell, a plan formed, a risky move that could change everything. But would it put Jake in danger? The tension in the room crackled, and Emily felt an unfamiliar sense of determination surge through her. But what if her father was right about Sinclair's influence? Would the stakes only grow higher? Emily's heart pounded as she registered the uneasy expressions of her friends. They had rallied behind her, but the menacing shadow of Sinclair was heavy, wrapping around the diner like a thundercloud waiting to burst. She glanced at her father, still standing there hesitant, Caught between worlds, his presence was both a lifeline and a potential threat. "Emily," he began, his voice barely audible above the tension. "I didn't come here to stay out of this, Dad," she said, cutting him off. Her voice shook, but the resolve was clear. The last thing she needed was him complicating the battle more than it already was. The diner shifted uncomfortably. Bar stools creaked, silverware clattered, and whispers grew. Sinclair was seemingly entertained, waiting for the moment her resolve would waver. "You think you can fight me, Emily?" he drawled, leaning back against the counter. "Look at your father. He walks away when things get tough. You think he'll support you now?" A lump formed in her throat, but Emily's thoughts turned sharper as she swallowed hard. This was more than her diner. It was about the little family she created with Jake. Every corner of that place buzzed with memories of laughter, early mornings, and the warmth of community. Not even Sinclair could take that from her. A woman in the corner, Mrs. Clark, whispered loudly enough for all to hear, "Don't let him intimidate you, Emily. You're stronger than he knows." "Yep," echoed another voice from the back, one of her loyal regulars. The support was like fuel to her fire, igniting the simmering determination within her. She stepped away from the bar, feeling the energy of the room shift in her favor, emboldening her stance. "You don't know me," she said to Sinclair, anger tightening her chest. "You don't know what I'm capable of." With every word, she could feel the defiance rising. "And if I have to choose between my future and your money, I choose my future with or without you." Sinclair's grin faltered momentarily before he recovered, annoyance flaring in his eyes. "Do you honestly think this is about money?" He took another step toward her. "It's about power, Emily, and you're blinded by your obstinance." "Power?" she spat. "You think showing up here and bullying my community gives you power? Look around. It's the support of this town that gives me strength. Something you will never have, no matter how much money you throw around." Every face in the diner nodded, pride swelling among them, and Jake suddenly appeared by her side, confusion giving way to admiration. He grabbed her hand, and the simple gesture felt like an anchor in the turbulent sea. "Mom, you're brave," he said, his wide eyes sparkling with belief. The affection and unconditional love from her son gave her the courage she never knew she possessed. Jake wasn't just a witness to this clash. He was a beacon of hope. Sinclair eyed the two of them, the facade of confidence slipping away. "You think this is over? You're making a mistake, Emily," he hissed, anger seeping into his words. "Maybe you should take your own advice," she shot back, stepping forward, chin raised high. "This diner is my life, and I'll fight for it." Suddenly, the front door swung open, and another wave of familiarity washed in the sound of laughter and chatter. Several townsfolk stepped inside, adding to the growing crowd, eager to see what the commotion was about. "Emily," we heard one of them started, but they halted mid-sentence when they saw Sinclair. Murmurs filled the air as they understood the gravity of the face dash off as Sinclair shifted on his feet, the smirk barely masking his frustration. Another thought struck her. There had to be a way to turn his threats against him, maybe even draw on the past he seemed to know so well. A sudden, daring idea sparked in her mind. What if she used Sinclair's propensity for intimidation against him? But in doing so, she could risk herself and her son even further. Stay strong, she thought, glancing around at her community. But at what cost? The weight of that question lingered as she prepared to take a step she never thought she would dare. What if this was just the beginning of revealing truths that shook their small town to its very core? Would the unearthing of buried secrets truly set her free, or ensnare them all in a web of chaos they might not escape? Emily felt the tension in the air thicken around her as the diners watched, holding their breath, waiting for the next move. The familiar faces seemed to morph into a collective spirit, each one silently saying, "We're with you." Sinclair, narrowing his eyes, glanced over the now increasing crowd. He realized he was no longer the only one holding power in that moment. The room buzzed with anticipation. Something in the atmosphere shifted like a storm was brewing. She could practically feel the adrenaline pumping through her veins. "Is that what you really want, Emily?" Sinclair sneered, A fight with me? You've never had to face anything harder than a kitchen rush. With a fire igniting in her heart, Emily replied, You don't know me at all. You may see a waitress, but I see a woman fighting for her dreams and her family. As she spoke, she turned slightly, letting her gaze sweep across everyone in the diner. My father may have run when things got tough, but not anymore. She gestured sharply to her dad, finally acknowledging him, her voice raising. Dad, it's time to step up. For once, stand beside me. Her father seemed taken aback, the old shadow of guilt flickering across his face, but her outburst nudged him into action. His shoulders squared, and he took a small, hesitant step forward. I'm here now, he said, though still uncertain. Emily felt the swell of support around her, pushing her forward. You know what Sinclair wants? She challenged. To tear us apart, to create fear. Well, he made a mistake coming here today. As Sinclair growled in frustration, she felt the ground beneath her shift. The sound of shuffling feet at the diner's entrance drew her attention. The townsfolk, filled with indignation, stepped closer, arms crossed, ready to protect their own. Their unity felt like a shield against Sinclair's threats. This place is a part of us, connects our lives, our families, she declared passionately. When you attack the diner, you attack all of us. Shouts of agreement erupted. Yep. Amen. Keep it going. Emma's heart soared as she realized they weren't just her patrons, they were her support system. Sinclair's smirk faltered, and self-doubt flickered across his face. Think this will end well for you? He hissed weakly, glancing around at the crowd. You can't beat me. Maybe not, Emily replied, lowering her voice slightly for effect while keeping her head high. But I can take you down with us if we fall. This is not just about me anymore. It's about everyone in this room. The energy surged like electricity, and she embraced it. You may think you hold all the cards, Sinclair, but let me show you what true power looks like. Just as she prepared to turn back to him, a loud crash reverberated through the diner. The crowd jumped as their attention snapped toward the door. Jake's wide eyes swept the room. An almost childlike dread etched across his features. Mom! Look! He cried, pointing outside. Emily's heart raced as she turned, her mind racing. Standing at the sidewalk was a sleek, black helicopter that seemed to gleam ominously in the sunlight. People murmured, their expressions shifting from confusion to apprehension. What the hell? Sinclair asked, surprise etched across his features. Emily's stomach dropped. She recognized the iconic logo emblazoned on the side. It was his, Sinclair's. The shock from the sudden arrival of Sinclair's helicopter gripped her like ice. Emily locked eyes with her father before they both turned back to Sinclair, who was now looking decidedly nervous, caught between relief and frustration. Something was stirring in her, an opportunity. She had to make a choice. Should they confront him now? Or would it be better to take a step back and figure out, in this moment of chaos, how to play him at his own game? Would revealing his hold on her past give her the upper hand? Or would it ensnare them deeper into a conflict that could threaten their very existence? The thoughts bubbled as she faced Sinclair, her determination unwavering. The moment was still unreal, and yet, within it lay the promise of everything: freedom, community, and maybe even victory. But in the back of her mind, one question nagged. What else from the past was Sinclair hiding, and how would it change everything they knew? As she prepared to make her move, the answer hovered just out of reach. Emily stood there, heart pounding, the crowd's energy radiating around her like a protective barrier. The helicopter's presence loomed outside, casting a long shadow over the diner and the showdown she had initiated. Sinclair's eyes darted between the helicopter and the townspeople surrounding her, a mix of fear and anger crossing his face. Just remember, he said, his voice lowering to a threatening whisper. I know things about your past that could shatter this little dream of yours. Her father shifted uneasily at her side, the weight of his own guilt palpable. Yet there was a flicker of recognition in his gaze, a spark of the man Emily always wanted him to be. Don't let him intimidate you, Em. Remember who you are, he murmured, barely above a whisper, with Sinclair's words echoing in her mind. She faced him head-on. determined to show him he couldn't waver her resolve. What do you want, Sinclair? More fear? More control? Because that's not going to work here. She gestured to her father and the growing crowd. You see all of us? We're family, and you can't force us apart. Sinclair's posture tightened, his smirk faltering. You think these people care about you? They're just here to watch a spectacle. His confidence began to crack, and Emily seized that moment. Oh, they're here because they care, Sinclair. Because this diner represents more than just food. It's a lifeline for us all. She gestured around the diner, making eye contact with familiar faces, each filled with a mix of fear, hope, and determination. And unlike you, we stand together. We won't let you manipulate us. A rumble of agreement rolled through the crowd. Emily felt emboldened by their support, each cheer fueling her fire. But then she remembered the helicopter and how it might play into Sinclair's game. Tell me, she demanded, her voice steady, is this your way of buying fear? Or did you come here hoping to scare us with some grand display? Sinclair took a step back, his bravado slipping. You have no idea who you're dealing with, he spat. Yet for the first time, doubt flickered across his brow. Maybe you're right, Sinclair. But I know a bully when I see one. She shot back, the words puncturing through the thick tension in the room. And I'm not afraid of you. So go ahead. Show me your strength. But know this, you won't win here today. Not in this town. Suddenly, the helicopter's blades began to spin, a low thrum vibrating through the air. The sound split the atmosphere, spilling anxiety into the hearts of those gathered. Everyone turned to the door, some reaching for each other's hands for comfort. Emily's eyes never left Sinclair's. What's the plan, Sinclair? More intimidation tactics? Because if so, keep your helicopter. Our strength isn't in fancy toys. It's in our unity right here. Silence enveloped the diner. The crowd's breath held tight as they awaited Sinclair's move. Emily's heart raced. She felt them all here with her, the possibility of something greater lingering in the air like wildfire. A deep chuckle escaped Sinclair, but it didn't reach his eyes. It'll be interesting to see how far your little fantasy can carry you, Emily. With that, he glanced at the door, his hand twitching almost unconsciously as if contemplating a retreat. Emily took a breath, the stakes higher than ever. What happened next could change everything. Was he really backing down? Or was he just baiting her, ready to unleash something even darker? The tension in the air crackled like a live wire, and she stood her ground, ready for whatever came next. As she prepared for his next move, one burning question loomed. Was Sinclair's helicopter merely a symbol of his power, or might it harbor deeper secrets that could either shatter her fight or give her the ultimate weapon against him? The realization pressed in on her, but she had no choice but to keep moving forward and find out. The drone of the helicopter's blades grew louder, drowning out the tension-filled silence as if it were a heartbeat, each thump echoing Emily's own pounding pulse. The crowd, filled with friends and neighbors, shifted uneasily, their eyes darting back and forth between Emily and Sinclair. But Emily refused to let the noise cloud her thoughts. She had to stay focused. Sinclair's face betrayed a shift, a crack in his confident facade. She pressed on, her instincts telling her this could be the moment to expose his weakness. What are you really after, Sinclair? Can't just be about control. It's deeper, isn't it? What happened that made you this way? She challenged, stepping forward. That's none of your business. Sinclair snapped, anger flashing in his eyes. But there was a hint of something else, a flicker of vulnerability. She seized the opportunity to drive her point home. Maybe it's not my business, but it is everyone else's. You think you can scare us into submission? That we'll back down just because of some flashy helicopter? She gestured toward the looming machine outside. This diner is not just timber and glass. It's our home, built on connections. It's the story of this town, and you can't just bulldoze over it. A murmur rippled through the crowd, a subtle show of agreement growing louder. Sinclair's hands balled into fists, but Emily noticed his shoulders slump just slightly. You think you're a hero for standing against me? He scoffed, but there was less bite to his words now. You're a joke, just a waitress playing dress-up. Maybe, she replied, fighting through her own fears. But at least I know who I am. I stand for this place, this community. The crowd erupted in supportive cheers, and Emily felt adrenaline surge through her. This was more than just her battle now. It was theirs too. "Stop the blades," Sinclair barked as if on cue. The noise dimmed slightly, leaving an eerie silence that settled over the diner. The decision was apparent on his face. He was weighing his options, the balance shifting. "You're playing with fire, Emily. Then let us get lit. We'll burn together if we have to." She couldn't back down now. This was about the realization of her dreams contrasting starkly with Sinclair's tyrannical greed. Just then, a thought struck her: the helicopter could be more than a weapon. It could also be a resource. "What's inside that helicopter, Sinclair?" She shot back, embracing her instinct. "What are you hiding that you think keeps you in power?" Sinclair's expression hardened, but uncertainty flickered through his steely demeanor. "You don't want to know what's in there. Believe me. But I do want to know," Emily pressed, heart racing with a mix of determination and fear. "I want to know how we can flip the script. What if we took that machine and used it against you?" A gasp spread through the crowd, and Emily held her breath, mentally playing through the possibilities. Imagine if they could turn Sinclair's own power back on him. For a moment, the exchange felt surreal. Sinclair glanced at the door, a storm of thoughts playing out behind his once confident mask. "You think you're enough to take me down?" he sneered. "Together we are," she countered confidently, gesturing to the townsfolk. "You've underestimated us for too long." The crowd rallied, voices surging in a chorus that filled the diner. "We're not afraid. We're not backing down." Their chants became a shield, wrapping around Emily like a warm embrace. Sinclair's eyes narrowed, calculating. "You'll regret this," he warned, but Emily could see the doubt crawling back into his expression, like a thief slipping quietly into the shadows as the door to the diner groaned under the weight of Sinclair's looming decision. Emily felt like they were standing on the edge of something monumental. Beside her, her father clenched his fists, visibly torn but brimming with renewed hope. And then she spotted a flicker of movement near the helicopter, a shadow reaching toward her. A ghost of a past she thought she'd buried. Could this shadow hold the key to her fight? Didn't Sinclair say he knew about her past? What did he know, and how could it turn the tide in their favor? The question hung thick in the air, and with her heart racing, she braced for Sinclair's next move. The moment felt balanced on a knife's edge, all eyes fixated on Sinclair. What secrets would he unveil? Would they turn the tables? Or was this just the beginning of an even darker revelation? Sinclair's gaze hardened into an icy glare, and for a heartbeat, the air grew heavy. Emily sensed the tension crackling like static electricity in the diner, the unyielding focus of the crowd refracting like light through a prism, each person riveted to the exchange unfolding before them, breath bated in anticipation. "I know more about you than you realize," he finally uttered, voice low and sliced with condescension. "You really think these people will stand with you when they figure out who you truly are? Their little waitress playing queen? Just a fleeting moment of bravery." Emily felt the tremor of doubt worming its way through her. Was it really bravery? Or was it just a facade, one that would crumble under the brightness of truth? Glancing briefly at her father, she saw the flicker of apprehension cloud his features. He too was a part of her past. Could her hidden truths obliterate the strength she built here? Pushing those thoughts away, she stepped closer, unwilling to let them seep into her resolve. "I am who I am, Sinclair. But who are you but a man using fear to bully the very people who live, breathe, and dream in this town?" The snippet of fire in her tone galvanized her spirit. Sinclair, drawn to her like a moth to flame, smirked. "Fear that's rich. What you don't know about fear could fill that chasm I see in your heart. You think you can outlive me?" With a measured shrug, he gestured to the helicopter outside. "That beautiful toy, for instance, you think its power? It's just a ruse. The real power lies beneath the surface in what you don't see." Before he could continue, the figure that moved near the helicopter jolted Emily's attention back. It was a woman older, with a familiar laugh that echoed like a distant memory. "Clara." Emily's former mentor, the one who taught her everything she knew about the diner, about cooking, about strength. She stood there, her silhouette stark against the whirling blades of the helicopter, as if she were the calm in the storm. "Clara?" Emily whispered, a spark of recognition lighting her heart, as if igniting darkness into dawn. What was she doing here? Her mentor raised her hand, and in that gesture, Emily felt a surge of courage stir inside her. "Don't let him intimidate you, Emily," Clara called, her voice cutting through the tension. "You may not see the resources around you, but some things run deeper than what you can hold in your hands. There are hidden truths, and they don't belong to him. They belong to this town." Sinclair's smirk dropped, a fresh wave of indignation crossing his features. "You think you can turn this against me? You're out of your depth here." The crowd murmured again, voices threading together into a tapestry of unity. Emily could feel the weight of Clara's words settle on her. There was history intertwining with the future, and perhaps Sinclair was about to be unearthed for who he truly was. "What if Clara is right?" she said, turning to face the crowd, eyes wide with frantic hope. "What if Sinclair's past holds more than just threats? What if we can expose him?" "Don't speak what you don't know, Emily," Sinclair snapped, resentment leaking into his tone. "Then tell me," she shot back, defiance shining in her eyes. "Show this town that you don't hold all the cards. If you really know me, you should know I'm not afraid to face them." Emily could sense Sinclair's resolve faltering. The crowd became a wall of determination and grit behind her, rising to fight back. Cheers erupted, shaking the walls of the diner, each shout louder than the last, fueling Emily. But Clara, still standing with her air of quiet strength, beckoned Emily to come closer. "They don't know everything," Clara spoke, her voice a soft whisper amidst the clamor. "There are deeper ties to this helicopter, secrets that run through bloodlines. We can unravel this if you're ready to confront the truth about your past." Emily froze, her mind whirred with questions. What did Clara know? What kind of secrets were tied to her name? As the helicopter's blades paused and the crowd blared with chants, Emily felt both fear and purpose collide within her. Sinclair was backing down, but the shadows of her past loomed like a storm overhead. What could her mentor reveal that might alter the course of their fight? Was she ready to dive into a history she thought she'd left behind? The weight of the moment hung heavy, and as Sinclair took a step back, his smirk replaced with trepidation, Emily prepared for a revelation that could change everything. "Emily, there's something you need to know," Clara urged, stepping into the light with conviction. The hum of the helicopter seemed to fade as the weight of the moment shifted from challenge to revelation. "Your father was involved in decisions about that helicopter. Decisions that will impact everything we're fighting for today." Emily's heart raced, each beat pounding the truth deeper into her mind. Her father, the man who had always shielded her from the world, tied into Sinclair's network of power? The fragility of her convictions wobbled at the edges as memories from her childhood flooded her mind. Laughter over breakfast, the warmth of home, the safety she had relied on. Now it all felt like a mirage, something unattainable. Sinclair, recovering from the shock, laughed coldly. "Oh, how delightful! A family scandal brewing right beneath our noses. Your father, my dear Emily, was a kingpin in all this. You think he built that diner with love? It took ruthless dealings to keep it afloat." "No," Emily shot back, her voice trembling with disbelief. Wouldn't he do that? Wouldn't he?" Sinclair pressed, his eyes glinting with mockery. "Maybe you're just another pawn in his game, just like me." For a fleeting moment, she hesitated. Her father's past could shatter the foundation of every belief she had fought to uphold. But Clara's hand on her shoulder was grounding like a lighthouse guiding her through the fog. "Don't let him shake your truth. There are different kinds of strength, Emily." Emily drew a breath, pushing past the doubt. "You seem to know so much about my family. Why don't you tell us, Sinclair? Who exactly have you been working with?" Sinclair scowled, the bravado fading from his expression. The crowd leaned in, hunger for answers brightening their eyes. "You don't want to dig too deeply, Emily. The deeper you go, the more skeletons will rattle in those closets." I'm not afraid of skeletons, she replied, a defiant fire in her core. She turned to the crowd. Are you willing to stand with me against this? Yeah. Voices shouted back, infusing her with strength. Just then, a low rumble echoed from the direction of the helicopter. Emily's stomach twisted. A door swung open, revealing a man dressed sharply, his presence emanating authority. Hold on a minute, he shouted over the noise, raising an arm to silence the crowd. It was Jeffrey, her father's old partner, with news that could tip the scales of this battle. Emily felt like the world had tilted again, shifting beneath her. Your father sent me here because he knew he hesitated, glancing at Sinclair. Because he knew you would need more than just courage today. He trusts you, Emily. The crowd shifted restlessly, eyes darting between Emily and the man whose arrival felt like a plot twist out of a film. Emily's breath quickened. Trust? My father trusts me? With what? They knew Sinclair would try to disrupt everything. Your family's connection runs deeper than you know. Cool as a breeze while Sinclair has decided to burn the bridges. Suddenly, Sinclair's expression darkened, and he took a step forward. You think you know everything, but you're just peeling back layers of machinery made to protect you. Look beneath, and you'll find that every truth has its own twisted reason. What did he mean by that? Emily's heart sank as her thoughts spun wildly. A cascade of questions unfurled. How could she trust her father? Would uncovering the truth bring her peace or pull her deeper into war? Stop running. Face what's pulling the strings. Sinclair thundered, his voice echoing through the diner. Emily felt another surge of courage swelling up inside her. She was standing between shadows of the past and the possibility of transforming her future. Time moved slow, each heartbeat like tick-tock of a clock woven with anxiety and urgency. The moment loomed, and the revelation hung in the air, waiting for her to take the next step. What buried truth could be found if she chose to confront not just Sinclair, but also the incomplete story of her family? As her heart raced in challenge against silence, she readied herself for the next unveiling. She had no idea what awaited her when she turned around to face the crowd and the complexity of her lineage. Emily inhaled sharply, her eyes darting around the crowd. Faces she recognized, people she had known all her life, now looked at her as if waiting for a sign. She felt the heaviness of their gaze, and inside her, a storm brewed. Was she ready to hold the weight of their expectations? Their fear? She squared her shoulders and took a step forward. What do you mean, burn the bridges? She asked Jeffrey, narrowing her eyes at Sinclair's mocking grin. What are you hiding? Jeffrey shifted, glancing nervously at Sinclair before focusing back on Emily. There's a lot to unpack. Your father wasn't just a diner owner. He was tied to people who deal in power and influence. Some of those decisions, they're tied to Sinclair's operations. The crowd gasped, murmurs spiraling through the air. Emily felt her heart drop, her pulse quickening as if it were trapped beneath a glass dome, desperate to escape. And you think I can just jump in? How am I supposed to handle this? She shot back, feeling vulnerable and exposed. You're stronger than you know, Emily, Jeffrey insisted, stepping closer. They thought you wouldn't care, that you would stay quiet. But that's not you. You're a fighter. You've already built a community here. As Jeffrey spoke, the realization dawned on her. People believed in her. They were fighting for change, standing against the tug of greed and corruption. They needed leadership. Every struggle I've faced, every long shift waiting tables, every moment I've spent working to make ends meet, it counts for something, right? Emily said, her voice shaking, but laced with determination. Yes, Clara yelled, raising her fist. You've inspired us. Your father may have kept secrets, but you can still choose your path. Feeling a swell of unity, Emily straightened. Then this is our moment. We expose the truth, and we stand together against the deceit that runs deeper than I ever imagined. Sinclair scoffed, flattening his palms against the counter. You think you're ready to face the shadows? I've seen more in this game than your little diner could ever prepare you for. You're just one woman against a system. But one woman can ignite change. Emily retorted. I'm not alone in this. I have all of you. Her voice rang clear and strong, resonating with an unexpected power, echoing off the diner's walls. The crowd erupted, rallying behind her, their enthusiasm drowning out Sinclair's attempts to undermine her. Emily felt the heat of their energy wrapping around her like a warm blanket. They were ready to confront the secrets of the past, to cultivate a future unfettered by darkness. But then, like a chill passing through the space, Sinclair took a step back, his eyes narrowing. You really have no idea what you're dealing with, do you? There are people who would do anything to keep their past buried. And your father, he's not the only one with blood on his hands. Emily's stomach twisted. Was it a threat? Or a warning? She turned to Jeffrey, who was visibly shaken. What do we do now? Now we find out what we're up against, he replied, determination hardening in his voice. But be ready. The truth can cut deeper than any knife. As the crowd began to chant her name, Emily felt an unexpected thrill surge through her. She was stepping onto a path that could lead to so much more than she imagined. A sense of purpose ignited within her as she faced Sinclair once more. Let us uncover the truth together, she exclaimed, the weight of her words carrying the promise of a fight. But even as she proclaimed her intentions to the crowd, doubt flickered in her mind. What if the truth wasn't what they hoped? As she kept her gaze fixed on Sinclair, she knew the real battle was just beginning and the stakes were higher than ever before. What were her father's real ties to Sinclair? Would confronting the past break their resolve or strengthen their fight for a better future? Emily stood rock solid, her pulse thrumming in rhythm with the anger and determination radiating from the crowd. Sinclair's words hung like dark clouds, threatening a storm, but she refused to back down. Each accusation pooled in her chest, heavy yet poised to be released in a wave of truth. Your threats don't scare me, she said, voice steady but unwavering. I'm done being afraid. The crowd erupted in support, voices blending into a powerful chorus. We believe in you, Emily, they shouted, their unity wrapping around her, fortifying her resolve. Sinclair's smirk faltered slightly, but his eyes remained cold. You're invited to the game, dear Emily, but don't forget often, the house always wins. He stepped forward, careful yet assertive. And you're standing on shaky ground. Shaky? Emily echoed, taking 2 steps closer, her gaze unwavering. No, you're standing on your own lies. We can uncover the truth together. That's what gives us strength. She turned to Jeffrey, courage radiating from her. Let us pull back the curtain on the past and expose everyone involved. Even if it's my own family. They may have built foundations on secrets, but I'd rather rebuild in the stead of truth. Are you sure? Jeffrey's voice dimmed momentarily, concern washing over him. The weight of legacy swirled through the room, doubt creeping in. I have to be, she replied firmly, bracing herself for Sinclair's reaction. If I keep hiding from the shadows, how can we ever stand a chance? Sinclair glared, edging back ever so slightly, the facade of control slipping for the very first time. You want to uncover the truth? He hissed, his voice laced with disdain. Fine, let me show you just how deep the rabbit hole goes. With a swift motion, Sinclair pulled out his phone, swiftly dialing something, a twisted smile creeping across his face. You think this is just about you? Think again. There are bigger players involved, and I assure you they won't take kindly to your meddling. No more games, Sinclair, Emily shouted, her heart pounding as Clara stepped forward, voicing what everyone was thinking. What are you talking about? Who are these bigger players? Clara demanded, her voice steady but laced with authority. Men who can vanish people without a trace, Sinclair retorted, positioning himself as the predatory vulture he had shown himself to be throughout this battle. Men who own not just helicopters but businesses, cities they will devour you whole just for sticking your nose where you think it belongs. But amidst developments, Emily felt clarity wash over her like sunlight seeping through dark clouds. What scares you most, Sinclair? She asked, eyes narrowing. Is it that we're fighting back? Or is it the fact that we might actually succeed? We'll see about that, Sinclair spat, the facade cracking as he shifted his focus back to the crowd. This isn't just about a diner, Emily. This is a war you don't know how to fight. I'd rather prepare for war with truth on my side than live in the facade you've painted from your greed. She shot back, the fire igniting in her essence. In that moment, she felt invincible, her passion blazing like a beacon. The crowd murmured their agreement, heads nodding, fists punching the air. They were ready for whatever came next. Sinclair hesitated, still trying to muster intimidation, but the stronger the tide of community rose, the more hesitant he became. Your son will suffer the consequences, Sinclair warned, but Emily smirked, the courage held within her becoming an unbreakable shield. Jake stands with me, she yelled, finding solace in the little boy who had blossomed beside her. Armed not just with her dreams but with the laughter and love they shared, she felt united with a purpose. And our dreams can never be shattered by greed. Mom! Jake called from the corner, having returned with Mrs. Clark after helping her. He grasped her hand tightly, his small gesture a powerful anchor in the frenetic sea of chaos. In that moment, Emily met Sinclair's gaze directly, stealing away any remaining power he had over her. I refuse to let fear win today. A collective breath of resolve filled the room. Before Sinclair could retort, a roar shattered the fragile quietness, the blades of the helicopter outside whirling back to life, as if it too was breathing with tension. But then, suddenly, the door swung open once more, this time revealing a man in a suit, a presence unmistakable. Stop what you're doing, he bellowed, eyes fixated on Sinclair with authority echoing. Sinclair, it's time to talk. The crowd surged with surprise and tension at the sight of this new player in the game. Emily recognized him. It was her father's ally, the one person who could hold Sinclair accountable for every dangerous play he had tried to manifest. I've seen enough of your intimidation tactics. You're done here, the man continued, stepping forward, the air woven with power. You will leave this diner, and you'll take your lies with you. The collective crowd gasped, eyes wide with astonishment and relief. I'm not abandoning anything, Sinclair shouted, a flash of defiance in his eyes. But there was uncertainty in his stance. He was losing control, and everyone could see it. Yes, you are, the man said, voice firm yet unwavering. Because now you're outnumbered. You're not just standing against a single waitress. You're challenging a community, and that essay fight you will never win. In that moment, Emily allowed herself a small smile. She recognized the shift. Each emotion that ran through her was relief, gratitude, and a deeper understanding of what they built together. You think you can win this? Sinclair shot back at Emily, voice hardening. But she couldn't shake the thrill of triumph swelling inside her. Yes, Sinclair, Emily replied, a wave of strength riding high on the current of unity that pulsed through the room. Because truth has an army and we're right here. Tension gave way to unity. And in that moment, Emily felt an overwhelming sense of hope fill the diner, one they would not let be destroyed again. She wasn't just a waitress fighting for her dreams anymore. She was a fierce leader who had ignited a movement. Let us uncover the truth then, the man said, extending his hand toward Emily. She took it, feeling strength surge through her. Let us change everything together. With a sweeping glance of the diner filled with faces adorned with pride, Emily knew this battle would end with justice. The community she loved had emerged as a fortress against Sinclair's dread, and together they would weave a brighter future. With Sinclair's departure, the bitter taint of fear would fade into the background. And with unwavering support, Emily stepped forward into the light, ready to reclaim not just her diner, but her story, once and for all. Now, dear friends, you must take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will keep you inspired. Leave a like right now to fuel the algorithm and spread the good vibes. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. We want to hear from you. And please, don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. Only true fans understand the power of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us spread this impactful story together.